last story, and this one's kind of a little bit more grim. Be prepared to pee your pants. Are you ready for this one, Jason? We're going to talk about Yellowstone for a little while. Yeah, Yellowstone. Oh man, it looks like my face got pushed over here. Let me move my face over a little bit.
I just moved a little bit.
Yeah.
We're just gonna talk about the super volcano. That not a big deal underneath that park, right?
Yeah. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Keep moving. So this is like one of these things that really comes into the conspiracy theory world where you just feel like, is it or isn't it? Because I swear it's funny. You watch some of these YouTubers and some of these folks, that work with the geological survey crews and some of the information that kind of gets out. And you start to wonder a little bit about it because, and I am not an expert in this, but anyway, but we'll spend another night where we will focus on Yellowstone. In fact, just to let you know about the Midnight Cafe and what this is kind of a welcome show. We're just going to have a little fun tonight. We're going to test out some things and see what works and what doesn't. But in the future, we'll have guests on and we'll be talking about specific topics. Yellowstone will definitely be one of them. Love to talk to y'all about the Mandela effect. Another one, love to talk about ancient history or mankind's forgotten history, something that Bright Insight does a lot of work with. But these are things we'll do in future shows where we'll kind of focus a little bit more on that, especially in the second hour. But yeah, taking a look at this picture. So my understanding is Yellowstone is a supervolcano. It does tend to blow up about every 660,000 years. And it's been about 750,000 years, so she's a little overdue. And there's definitely some action going on there. Even the mainstream news reports a little bit on this, talking about how the geysers have been erupting much more common, much more rapidly, that there's been temperature fluctuations, and that the road is melting, stuff like that. So, Jason, any of your thoughts on this? I'm just going to sit back and listen for a while and read some of these comments, and people let the comments keep floating in.
Yeah, I'm just reading. They're saying that 1,000 cubic meters of rock and ash all at once. I mean, it would be a big deal. And I'm not discounting it at all. There's always an end. When this media story goes away, someone else is going to bring up another means of our death and the world's ending. I don't know. You think about it from back in history. There's always something that's going to kill us all every minute of the day. So, whether it'll be this volcano or an asteroid falling from Mars. There just ain't no telling. I love the fascination with it, that it's there, and it could be very, very deadly. But
I agree with that.
It's just it. Yeah.
I agree with that. Here's what again, going through some historical stuff. I'm not an expert on any of this. We will have experts on the show, but you have something like Yellowstone, which could conceivably wipe out, let's say 2/3 of the U.S. With the ash cloud. If it doesn't kill you, which I think it was 150-mile kill range, maybe even more than that, but the ash will, it's a toxic ash, and if the gases don't kill the folks that are there, if they manage to seek cover or get gas masks on or go into shelters, the ash that coats the earth, the land, which is our breadbasket, if you look at the map there, that will cause a serious food crisis, because that is where we grow the majority of the food for our country. And it wouldn't grow. I mean, the ash is toxic. Plant life has a hard time with it for at least a good 10 years. Now, there's some other things that they talk about. This also occurs when the Younger Dryas event is the big one that I know of in my history books. That, this would be kind of the equivalent of a good-sized meteor impact, where we would lose a lot of temperature. We would lose, we would enter an ice age most likely, or at least a very close to an ice age, a mini ice age. Temperatures probably drop 3 to 5 degrees for about a 5 to 10 year period, which means that a lot of areas that aren't affected by the ash probably would have a hard time growing food. And that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, we think it's cold now. It would definitely be a lot colder.
Yeah. And again, guys, this is where this will become more like an Art Bell show somewhere down the road. But on future episodes, we will be talking about ancient civilizations, the Egyptians, the Mayans, and the 20th parallel, where all the pyramids seem to be clustered. And if you look at a picture of the globe and you look at where the pyramids are all, you notice that it's right down near the equator, down near warm enough areas, and that's because my theory is that the world lives in a pretty much constant state of an ice age, and that what we are experiencing here is a brief respite from that. That we get whacked by a good enough sized meteorite every so often, and it kind of keeps our world in a cloudy and cold place. Or something like a supervolcano goes off and does the same thing. So, our lives are so small, so short that we probably don't have this affect us. But it looks like it's happened before, and it most certainly will happen again.
That's actually an interesting theory. Are you saying that we're on the tail end of the effects of a disaster, and
Yeah,
that we're about to renew?
yeah. Well, there's no expiration date to mankind, but it appears, if you look at the cycles of history, that humanity at one point long ago built itself up and then was wiped out. Now, whether it was by a supervolcano, the most recent theory is a large meteorite impact into the Iceland ice shelf, which evaporated all that ice and flooded. That's probably where the Great Flood pyramid or stories come from worldwide. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
in the Bible, we have the story of Noah's Ark, but around the world and around all ancient
Right.
cultures, there's the flood story. Indians have it, and it just keeps going. And again, we'll get into this much deeper in another episode, but the idea there is that something happens on a fairly regular basis. Let's say every 12 to 20,000 years, where something big enough happens that knocks life off this planet, definitely off its feet. And it takes it a long time to recover. Your thoughts on that, guys? Jason, go ahead.
No, I've never thought of it in that aspect. I thought about the cycle, and I know it's there, but the fact that like you said, we could be on the tail end of an ice age from the disaster itself. So it's just an interesting way to put it for me.
It is.
And that's so it's
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
yeah, it is. So we've gotten a lot of comments in while we've been talking. Let's see, Mickey P said some very nice words again. And somebody earlier said something about drilling the super volcano to vent it. Have you heard anything about that?
I have heard of people talking about doing that, but yeah, doesn't that sound like a bad idea to you?
That's dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds scary.
I mean, that just seems like, I don't
I
know.
watched a video of the last volcano that erupted. That was insane to watch. That's the first time I'd ever really paid attention to it. The roads were just split and wide open and oozing out this red hot gunk all over the place. It
The
was
power of
insane.
nature. The power of nature. We think
It's
it up, but
amazing.
what is it they say? Man plans and God laughs. This is Mother Nature's going to do what it wants to do. Drilling a
It
hole into
will.
a super volcano. I don't know, man. I don't want to be anywhere near it when it happens. That's for sure.
I get the idea behind it, but
Yeah. Yeah, one guy's commenting here, Jot Dot, saying that might jumpstart it. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I like that. Send Bruce Willis in. Yeah.
That's funny.
He can do it. Chuck Norris could just beat it up and make it go away. I guess that'd also work. Good job, Snake
Wait.
Man.
But you'd have to have Bruce Willis there to drill the hole, and when it started spewing, Chuck Norris would hold it at bay. That's how that would work.
Use a nuke to relieve the pressure. Well, who knows? That could work. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I don't really think it's a good idea to nuke Yellowstone. It's an awfully pretty place. I just might upset some of the locals.
Well, it would either relieve the pressure or make the people who lived around it not care anymore because it wouldn't be there.
It wouldn't be around anymore. That's for sure. Well, I don't know. That's it's an interesting topic. I'll go ahead and close that one out. And that's it for the news. We're just going